Weekdays Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is a sham.
No. Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Hello, it's Ladies' Day.
What's going on?
Always, everyone's looking great, and I'm so excited to get into this topic with you guys because I know a lot of you are having this topic in your families and with your children. How many of you watched this last night? Because President Biden gave a primetime address framing the midterm elections as a, quote, battle for the soul of a nation. Take a look.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. History tells us that blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy.
All right, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy hit back, saying instead of bringing the country together, Biden has chosen to divide, demean, and disparage. He also called on the president to apologize to the millions of Americans who voted for Trump. So, what do? We go to you. What do you think of the president going after some MAGA Republicans like this? Are they really a threat to this country? And I want to make it really clear to everyone here, he was specifically talking about Biden, the extremists, not everyday Republican. If you are a fiscally conservative person, he's not talking to you. He's talking to the people who think the election is stolen and blindly lead and follow wherever Trump goes. What did you think, Linz?
Well, that was the part that was unclear because at the beginning of the speech, he was like, I'm differentiating these people. There's MAGA Republicans and then there's actual people who I think that's not the overwhelming portion of the party. Then he goes, well, the party is overwhelmingly influenced by these MAGA Republicans. And so basically you're telling 74 million people, shame on you, because some people, like you said, voted for President Trump a second time and made that decision for whatever reason they made it, and not because they would run into the Capitol or storm the building or try to kill people. And so associating them with some of the things that we saw laid out during the January 6 hearings is kind of disheartening because a lot of people's minds were changed. That was actually one of the main reasons to have these hearings, so the American public could see transparently exactly what was happening. So associating everybody with that when half of the country voted for President Trump was a missed opportunity to me, a missed opportunity to talk about what you're going to do on crime, what you're going to do about inflation, what you're going to do to bring the country together like you promised when you got the presidency. That was his number one thing, is that I'm going to unite the country. But the first thing, you're going in with this red background, looking like you came directly out of hell, you know, telling everybody, shame on you, this is terrible, the country's going down, it's over. Like, it just felt very morbid. And I wanted to read a tweet. It says, quote, standing in front of a hellish red background, Biden called the country, the MAGA Republicans' threat and a clear and present danger. Then he says, quote, empathy is fuel of democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. And so it's kind of like leaving a bunch of people unseen who maybe did support Trump for several different reasons and then changed their mind even after the intentional January 6 hearings. It's like, I'm still talking directly to you if you ever wore that hat in your life.
Okay, that's fair. What do you say to someone who says, I can't bring the country together if we don't call out a sect that's trying to bring us apart?
I would agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about the leadership of the Republican Party and the failure of a lot of leadership in the Republican Party to actually make a stand and differentiate the Republican Party from Trump. Are we going to continue to pretend like there aren't people in this country who absolutely have all of their allegiance to a person, to Trump? So when you have people, and I would say this about any movement, I would say this about any sector of people, your silence is violence. Your silence and being complicit in order to continue to hold your seat in our government is contributing to, yes, I do think that it's extremely detrimental to democracy and it needs to be called out. Are there other things that we could be talking about? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, that was what was on the agenda for him to speak about. And I think it's far time that it is said.
Yeah. Well, I think that was more like a Democratic National Convention speech, like instead of a speech speaking to the whole country, because the number one enemy in this country is not inflation or the fact that people are losing jobs and trying to figure out what they're going to do for income and to pay for groceries. But the number one issue is still President Trump, somebody who hasn't been in office in 2 years.
But
that's the number one issue.
We're talking about domestic terrorism.
Right, but is that the number one issue for people that are going to vote in November? Because this was a very intentional midterm speech.
Sure. I don't know what the number one issue. I think you would really have to speak to or like get the pulse of the country.
Well, there has been several polls that show that it's inflation, the economy.
But at the same time, when we're talking about the safety of our country, I think safety is actually one of the biggest issues that people have in every capacity, regardless of what we're talking about.
Right, and I think that crime has been on those lists and all, like I said, the polls that keep showing that everybody really wants their leaders to talk about these things and how you're going to bring down crimes like directly in your city so that you're not seeing a bullet pass your window when you're trying to drive your kid to school.
I hear that, but if you don't have the seat of democracy, we have a constitutional crisis. We have anarchy. So I will simply say this. I don't find it polarizing to point out fascism. I find it patriotic, and I will do it from the seat as much as possible. Again, we're not talking about every Republican. We are talking about those that, to me, seem fascist. They don't believe in transfer of power. They believe in one person. They don't believe in anyone else. The blind loyalty. That is actually anti-American. So take a look. If you think a Democratic president saying fascism is bad, you might want to look at your party if you have a problem with that, if that issues you. And if not, talk to your elders of the greatest generation who fought a full war against that and perhaps find out more about that. All right, former President Donald Trump is also responding to Biden's speech on his social media platform. Trump called the speech insane. He also said someone should explain to Biden slowly but passionately that MAGA means make America great again. Trump also called into a radio show yesterday and promised full pardons to the January 6th rioters, all of them, as well as an apology from the government if he is reelected. Speaking of which, this retired New York police officer was sentenced to 10 years in prison yesterday for his role in the attack on the Capitol. That is the longest punishment handed down so far. He is an ex-police officer, and he came at a Capitol police officer with a metal pole. What do you think about offering pardons for the January 6th thing?
I think that's ridiculous. I think that, this is more than 800 people have been indicted already because of the Capitol riots. And I think that all those people should go to jail, should be convicted. That's a firm stance for me. And so even President Trump saying that he'll go back and pardon them and just ask for the apology, like the ego of it all, is really disheartening because as we think about what we're going to do to move the country forward, I think people don't even want him to run. So the fact that this is even igniting anyone to get behind him and say, okay, let's do this again is frustrating because if that's your number one goal to go in, that's also not what's on people's mind right now, is to pardon people who actually commit crimes.
What do you think, Erica?
Sounds like a payoff.
Yeah, sounds like a payoff to me, too.
What else do you call it?
And just to call it out real quick, the one thing I can't stand that I want to tell the people, my friends across the aisle, if you do believe in Trump, what's interesting to me is he doesn't care about you. Like, he's sitting on his golden toilet and he doesn't care about the working man. It's a con. It's a grift. He stiffs people of money. That's not an American thing to do. He doesn't care about the working man. So I hope people take a look at perhaps their vision of what America should be. And if it's lined up with fascism, maybe take another look. Coming up on DBL, an assassination attempt on Argentina's vice president. We will show you what happened after the gun jams. And Dr. Coley is here in studio. She's talking about the new COVID booster shots. Are they safe? Should we get them? How is she?
Closed captioning provided by
Attention.
Hey, just stopping by to say we're taking over. We're made of this. We're taking over. You know what time it is. We're taking over.
Hey everyone, yes, you're happy to see me, but guess what else? I'm so sorry, BJ's gonna kill me. Sierra's birthday was yesterday.
It was.
Birthday,
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Sierra.
Happy birthday, Sierra.
Sierra, how old are you turning?
26.
And you are doing great. She's going to be taking over this network at one point. She will be my boss. And I probabally pressed a button. I apologize.
Sierra to be our boss.
Well, don't you think? She's going to run this network. That's right. That's what's going to happen. We also have to get a look at Miss Lindsay's shoes. Do you mind coming around?
I'm actually head to toe.
Please, I just really have to. Thank you. Come here. This is unbelievable.
Yellow shoes and we'll be doing the same thing.
We're like Michigan colors, maize and blue. Look at how fabulous that looks.
We need a shoe cam like Wendy Williams.
She does a shoe cam.
Remember, people used to come on and sit down and go like this? I miss Wendy. I hope she comes back.
4.5 with Dr. How are you?
Good.
Are you doing well?
Yes.
So good to see you. You were just on a little trip.
A long trip.
Where'd you
Covered
go?
in mosquito bites.
Do you?
I know, in the West Nile thing, I was like, oh God.
Oh, gosh.
Don't you scare me.
Like 18.
Yeah, I can see him right here.
18.
Yeah, show Sierra. Take a look at the.
No.
Okay.
She's like, who wants to show that?
I guess Torian, that's wrong. But are they itchy as heck?
Yes.
Do you calamine lotion it?
Yeah, well, there's a Benadryl spray too that's pretty good.
Oh, Benadryl.
And actually had,
spray. Doesn't she give you vibes from
That's
like
crazy.
a 1940s swinging party? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Pass the gimlet, sea biscuits making the rounds.
I saw that segment. Off the shoulder.
Oh, that was a moment.
That was funny.
Okay, a moment. Welcome back. Look who's here. It's Dr. Coley.
Hi,
our
ladies.
favorite.
Dr. Coley.
Good to see you. She's here to answer all your questions about these new COVID booster shots that just got approved by the FDA and the CDC. So, Doc, these new boosters are not without controversy. I know that. They were only tested in mice, not humans. Makes me a little worried. Talk to me about these boosters. Are they safe? Are they effective?
You know, I'm not worried. In fact,
Okay.
the FDA actually told the companies we don't need the human tests because the safety data we already have. This is sort of like what we do with the flu every year, guys. We just kind of switch out the message, but the vaccine is the same.
Okay.
So I'm not at all concerned about safety. More of a question mark to me is the efficacy, like how well do they actually work? Now, there we have the mice data that tells us that if you get these boosters, they actually, protect you 20-fold higher against Omicron,
Oh, wow.
which is really, really great. They protect you against severe illness in mice that have actually human cells put into them. But I'm still waiting to see sort of in the humans how that actually plays out in the real world.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How are these shots different than the past boosters? Because, your doctor's telling you to get one and then a month later there's a new one.
It's a software upgrade. That's what it is for your boosters. So there's like a Toyota of boosters and there's a Tesla of boosters. And this is a Tesla
Nice.
of boosters.
I'll take it.
You happen to drive a Tesla? I do. So basically the last boosters were just a single variant, right? The original Wuhan strain. This is that plus the BA4 and the BA5.
Okay.
So what we're thinking is not just will we increase the amount of antibodies you have, hopefully we'll increase the types of antibodies against more variants and the duration of how long that response lasts.
I'm going to get that Tesla because I had COVID and I was just thanking God every day that I had the booster and I was vaccinated because the way it came in, it could have been so much worse. So
And when was your COVID, Erica?
this was just a month ago.
Okay, so you're not going to be eligible for 3 months
Man.
after your infection.
Poor Erica.
Okay,
So you got to wait a little bit, but with that fall spike that we think is going to be coming, it'll be perfect timing for that.
Okay, I'm signing up in the fall. I'm going to be there. So obviously these boosters are very important. But what do you say to people who are like, well, she still got COVID?
Yeah. So first, this is a better booster, right? We're putting more strains into it, so we're going to boost your immune response better, so the protection against any infection should be better. Second, as we've known, the protection against severe illness, we still have people dying every day from COVID. Feels like it's over, but it's not. Third, it's the only thing we have left going into fall. We're not distancing, we're not testing, we're not masking anymore. And modeling tells us that December, we're going to have a big spike. So this time, we actually have the chance to get ahead of it. So if we get this now, we could actually flatten out that spike and never see it altogether.
I hope so, because every winter I feel like we go through the same thing where it's like, okay, COVID's all the way back. But okay, so we're headed into the fall, like you said, and I know that flu shots are already available. Seems so abrupt, but they are. Do you recommend people get both their flu shot and their COVID booster at the same time? Should we space them out a couple weeks?
No, I think same time, guys, because really, it's not safety concerns. There's no significant efficacy concerns, and it's just more convenient.
Yeah,
so I'm
right.
actually going to go in a couple weeks and get both of mine together. The flu shot we want to get before Halloween. That's kind of the benchmark for the flu shot. But definitely by the end of this month is when we want to start thinking about it. And those boosters we think will be out as early as, right after Labor Day next week.
That's fantastic. fantastic.
Yeah, so
Thank
get
you,
your
science.
parents, your friends, everybody to get boosted. Maybe we can all go together.
A little
Have
booster party, huh?
Yeah, a little champagne,
Yeah,
a little booster.
Boost, a shot, you know. A new survey is out, and it showed that 2 in 3 adults actually don't know their blood type. And as I'm saying this, I think to myself, am I O negative? So I don't know. How important is it to know something like this? Is that important?
Do you know? So you don't know?
I don't know.
Erica?
I do.
I'm not positive. Like, I'm not even going to guess. I think I do.
3 adults right here. We have to know our blood type. And I think this is more of a reflection of a bigger problem where we don't know things about ourselves, our medical history, the medicines we're taking, what our problems are, that we really have to wake up and know. Now, if I asked anyone what their weight is, everybody at this table would know.
I don't.
I don't.
Really?
I don't either.
It's not my business.
Mommy
Not
doesn't
my business.
Do you feel good today or not? That's what it is.
I turn around at the doctor's office. I'm like, that's your business.
Good for you.
Yeah, right.
I like it.
But it's important to know just to have knowledge about your own body.
It is, because I mean, in a life-threatening emergency for yourself, you should know, and then for somebody else, you know, can you donate blood to your family member who just had a car accident? You need to know your blood type in order to answer that question.
Okay, everybody, we got to get on that. Write me if you know it and what it is. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Asking everybody for their
Right? Everybody's just going to be typing in O, A.
Plus, that's like the grade I always wanted to get.
A+. For an overachiever, I love it. Type A right there. Thank you so much, Dr. Coley. We'll be right back. Type A, love it.
President Biden just announced a plan to cancel up to $20,000 in student debt for some people. When critics attacked the plan, the White House responded on Twitter by pointing out some of those critics had gotten even larger loans forgiven by the government. Those loans weren't student loans, they were Paycheck Protection Program loans. The PPP was created during the early stages of the pandemic to provide business owners with cash so they wouldn't have to lay off workers. According to the Treasury Department, as long as the loans were used to cover payroll, they could be, and often have been, forgiven. Recently, many people have claimed that the average forgiven PPP loan was much larger than the 10 to 20 grand in forgiveness that many students are now receiving. This tweet from Senator Bernie Sanders says the average amount of debt forgiveness to businesses was more than $95,000. So let's verify. Is the average amount forgiven for PPP loans greater than $20,000? Our sources, the Small Business Administration, the Department of Education, and the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee. That committee is a government agency tasked with tracking how pandemic relief funds get used. Out of a total 11.5 million PPP loans, more than 10 million were fully or partially forgiven. And the agency calculated that the average amount forgiven was $72,500. So where did Sanders get the 95,000 figure? Well, that was the average as of last year, when only about 4 million loans had been forgiven. Since then, millions of smaller loans have been processed, bringing the average down, according to the Small Business Administration. But when it comes to student loans, the max most people can get forgiven under Biden's plan is 20 grand. So even with the lower 72 grand figure for PPP loans, we can verify, yes, the average amount forgiven for PPP loans is greater than $20,000. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back. All right, we have some shocking video. It's out of Argentina today, showing their Vice President, Cristina Fernandez, surviving an assassination attempt last night. I do want to give a warning. This content may be disturbing to watch because you really do see it. So sit this one out if you're not ready. So a man in the crowd pulls a gun, points it right at her face, point blank, and the gun jams as he pulls the trigger. The vice president was not hurt, but authorities said there were, get this guys, 5 bullets in the gun chamber. Listen to the gun jam in the second video from a different angle.
Wow.
They are trying, wow, let's give a second for just like, that was unbelievable. They're trying to figure out the shooter's motive, but we should note that the vice president is in court facing allegations of corruption, which she does deny. I also want to let you know that the man has been arrested, but they believe 5 people were involved in this plot. What? We just saw Shinzo Abe, the Prime Minister of Japan, get fully assassinated successfully. What did you think when you saw this?
She's lucky to be alive.
I know.
I mean, yeah, that's just crazy. I was like speechless, but also I thought about like hatred breeds violence. So I don't even know where they got the hatred to go after this woman in that way, because that would have been the most terrible thing that anyone, I mean, hopefully we wouldn't have been showing it, but like, that's just crazy.
My God. All right. Well, our thoughts, our prayers are with everyone there. Everyone's okay, but we do know it has legs, and we'll tell more as we get updates. Here is a question for you. How do you feel about a kids' soccer team for boys under 10 being sponsored by Hooters? The Hooters in the UK came out to wish good luck this season to the under 10 league that they're sponsoring. Hooters is, of course, known for their female servers in low-cut tops and bright orange shorts, but appear modest in the photos that they shared. It is unclear what the terms of the sponsorship are, but the boys will have Hooters logos on their jerseys. So should Hooters be associated with kids? Is this lighthearted? Is this funny? Are we sexualizing young boys? Erica Cobb, please talk to me.
I don't understand what the big deal is. Hooters is clearly a family restaurant. I can attest to that because I was a Hooters girl.
Thank you.
I had more families than my... Honestly,
no.
Yes. I was a Hooters girl. I was a calendar girl. Yes, this is not a secret. And I can tell you that 90% of the people that I served were families. And a big part of that reason is because you are having a family-style dining experience for the low. Like, it's cheap. So people will come in with their entire families. Soccer teams, all the kids. When the athletes would come in and sign like autographs and stuff, there'd be lines of kids. Like, there were more kids. I had more of those little plastic cups than just as many as I had beers most of the time.
Wow.
So I don't see what the big deal is at all.
Do you see a problem with it?
I really appreciate the jumpsuits that were worn. I feel like that's a really cute outfit. Plus, like, you know, when kids are little, I don't know. I feel like my little baby is just such a little baby. She's going to see stuff, but I'm like, okay, we'll take it very slowly. But that's my perspective. I've never been to Hooters before in my life, so I don't even know what happens in there.
First of all, I think that's the
all
problem.
I have is the stigma of like big boobs in your face shaking around. Like, I don't know what happens in Hooters.
First of all, you can look at me and see that that's not true. I think that's what happens is people who've never been in the restaurant just make all of these assumptions about it. The outfits are not, I mean, you see far worse on Instagram.
Got it, okay.
You're not showing really, and I mean, yes, the shorts are shorts and the tank top is a tank top, but like, I had women coming in that were dressed far more scantily clothed than I was when I was working there. So if you haven't been there, maybe you should go. I would suggest Daytona wings naked, not breaded, okay? Because those are fire.
Is there one out here? Oh, yeah.
Are there any left?
I just know in LA, I would always go to Hooters because the wings were great. I really did.
The wings are good. Now, I like them naked.
Fair. Fair. So do a lot of people. But I will also say this. If you're going to put out Hooters for sponsoring, take a look at every other sponsorship of every other team to see if there was some corruption, because I'm sure, let's not cast stones in glass houses.
Got that analogy on the nail.
We'll be right back. Nailed it.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Darling.
This time it's monkeypox, the rare but rarely deadly disease with symptoms similar to smallpox. The CDC's statistics show it's very uncommon in children, but with schools back in session, parents and teachers are asking, is it possible for monkeypox to spread through school surfaces like desks and sleeping mats? Our sources are the CDC, a recent monkeypox surface study conducted by the Utah Health Department, and Chris Uhl, infectious diseases physician with Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist.
The most common way that monkeypox is transmitted is directly from person to person, and this involves skin-to-skin contact. A small number of cases could be transmitted by respiratory droplets. There are also sometimes people can get it from what we call in medicine fomites, which is the environment around us.
The CDC emphasizes the risk to children is low, though yes, again, it can spread through contaminated objects like toys, eating utensils, fabrics, and surfaces used by someone who has monkeypox. The Utah Health Department study took 30 specimens from a house with 2 people with monkeypox. Several items had traces of the virus, but none had a positive viral culture result, meaning the virus wasn't viable or infectious on those surfaces.
The surfaces that are most problematic are actually soft fabrics, so like bedding, towels, things that we would use somewhat intimately with skin-to-skin contact. Other surfaces, such as desks, doorknobs, telephones, are much less likely to become contaminated because the skin to direct contact would be quite unusual.
The CDC says the best disinfectants for monkeypox are the same ones you're using for COVID or any other emerging viral pathogen. EPA's pesticide product and label system search page allows you to see name brands and generics that perform best. At this point, the CDC is not recommending students stay out of school for monkeypox exposures, unless, of course, they have symptoms. At that point, the child's doctor and local health department should advise what to do and whether the vaccine might be an option. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
Verify viewers are always on the lookout for the next potential scam, and we love when you ask us about suspicious claims and requests, like Karen did. She received this letter that claims to be from the federal government that asks her to answer questions about her passport. So Karen, let's verify. Is this passport survey from the U.S. Department of State legit? Our sources are the State Department, the Office of Management and Budget, and the U.S. Government Accountability Office. The State Department is responsible for issuing passports to Americans. Every month, the agency mails a letter like this and the one received by Karen to 35,000 addresses nationwide, inviting them to take part in a survey about passport demand. The survey asks questions about whether anyone in the home has a passport or will need one in the next few years. The State Department says it then uses this data to know when it needs to hire more people, build more infrastructure, and add resources to issue passports. So, yes, this passport survey from the U.S. Department of State is legit. The department says it may also call people who don't respond to the letter.
Hey, no time to run, no games. Your time's come today. Just stopping by to say we're taking over. We're made of this. We're taking over. You know what time it is. We're taking over. We're made to play.
DBL is all new every day.
Say what we made for. We're made of this.
I love that song. That's a crazy song.
So impressed. That was beautiful. Well done, everyone. We're so excited for season 6. And we're so thankful for, of course, the audience that stays with us and grows every single season. Wow, what do you guys think?
It was nice. I liked all the dancing and the behind the scenes. You know, I love behind the scenes shots. What about you?
I just can't believe this is season 6.
I know.
Like, it feels like yesterday that we were auditioning for this show.
It does. It feels like a hot second, doesn't it? I'm very, very, very pleased to be in the dream job of my life. So thank you to everyone who watches. DBL's new every day. We will see you same time, same place on Monday. Be safe. And remember, everyone's fighting an uphill battle. Be kind, y'all. Be kind.
We're taking over.
We're taking over.